All right, so today I'm going to give you some sauce. I'm going to show you how to set up a session in Logic Pro. Typically, when a customer sends you some stems, you'll need to set up a session. So this is how you do it. Typically it'll be a zip file, and you'll need to uncompress it, let it do its thing. All right, so now that it's done, you can open up the folder, check out all the files. You can see that they're not labeled. They're just labeled by the names of the song. So we're going to need to do a little bit of work in pre-production here. So we're going to want to open up a session, either an empty session in Logic. I like to set up a template, so I've got one set up here. Let's open it up. And there we have our session. All right, so now what I want to do is to take this instrument track, which I have a bunch of plugins set up, it's ready to go, and duplicate this track. You can right-click and create a new track with duplicate settings, or do the command here, which I like to do. So what I do is I count, and I see how many I have here by selecting and right-clicking. It'll show you how many actual tracks you need to create. So it's 19. I'll go here and do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Create 19. Now these all won't be instrument tracks. I don't know what they are. So for now, I'll just create these and then drag it here. And we want to create new, actually use existing tracks, import them, and let's see, we're going to keep track format. All right, so now we can take a look and solo each one to start labeling tracks. So that one is kick and snare. And now we're going to just go down and keep labeling. Bass. This one here, I don't see anything for a while, so this is probably vocals.
I'd like to begin with a fact. Whether in a small town...
TV sample.
Big business. Big, 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 big.
I'm thinking that's the hook. If we take a look here and jump ahead, yeah, we can see it repeats. So that is the hook. We can give it more descriptive details as we figure out exactly what they are, but we'll just label it hook for now.
Big business.
Hook female.
Big business.
So I'll tell you right now that this is going to be left and right. So that looks like all we have for the hook. So the rest of these are going to be verses. So now we just need to identify. Now I did notice, like with the hook here, I've got some things happening up at the beginning here that are not happening here. So I'm wondering what those are. We might need to separate them out.
Big business.
So what's interesting is that this doesn't happen here. So probably we will need to cut and paste this later to be over here. Although it could give us a unique sound just to have it kind of more stripped down at the beginning. So now let's go to the verses.
Tell them haters we out to sell the 7 C's.
All right, so it looks like this, just from looking at all these stacks. These look like the main stacks of the verse, and it should just be left and right.
Tell them haters we out to sell the 7 Cs.
And that's what it is. So we're going to do lead, left, lead right. And then these are going to be ad libs down here.
Big business. Tell them haters we out.
So yeah, we've got lead, ad, and it looks like there's not, well, this might be, let's just hear them.
Tell them haters we out. 7 C's. Heavenly. Meantime. Heavenly. Galilee. Heavenly.
All right, so these are not exact matches. They do match in some places, so we're going to have these separate. So we're not going to be able to like do a pan on left and right. What I'll typically do is I'll just label this as the ad. So if I'm not going left or right, I'll just label it center. Give it a C. And then the same thing here. Lead, ad, B, center. And then this here.
Tell them haters we out. Sell the 7 C's. Heavenly. Check out my melody.
So again, this is not a match of anything. So what we're going to do, yeah, that's it. So we'll label this lead, add, C. Okay. And then this is going to be, well, just one kind of random ad lib on the last verse here.
Youngers, sisters, and brothers. Still came a nationwide hustler.
And that's got some reverb on it. So I'm going to want to drag this up here to be a little more organized, because this is an outro, obviously. So let's go to the outro. We're almost done.
For life, baby.
All right, so we'll just label that outro.
Building a brand. Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, let's do outro verb for reverb. All right, that way we keep that as stereo. So you'll notice if I expand them out, you're going to see that they're either stereo or mono, which is another issue we're going to need to address. So what I'll do here, actually, let me expand this. Should have done that. So let's take a look here and start at the top. Now that we got everything labeled. So the kick, straight away, we're going to want to change these to mono. So like the kick and the bass, they need to be mono. They don't need to be stereo like this. The pad, I'll leave stereo. The bell, I can leave stereo. Drama hit, stereo. TV sample can be mono as well. So I'll go in here and change a lot of these to mono. So we'll identify what needs to be done kind of first, and then that way you get an idea. With the hook, we'll need to listen to make sure there's no reverb on them. Otherwise, we'll keep them, if there's no reverb on them, we'll keep them mono. We'll have to change them to mono.
Big business.
So this is a raw vocal, so what we'll do is we'll change this to mono, and then we'll just keep checking.
Big business.
Same thing.
Big business.
That will be mono.
Big business.
And you know, I've labeled them on the way, most of them. So I label them if they have reverb. I will go ahead and notate it.
Tell them haters we out. Haters we out. Haters we out. Haters. 7.
Getting an overload here. Not sure why. probably because I am doing a screen recording as well. So see this one here? What is happening is he's got this panning left and right, which that can create some complexity in the mixing. So I'll change this to mono as well, and that's just going to put everything onto one channel, and we can pan it during the mix. That will give it a lot more cleaner result. But probably when I'm mixing it, I'm not even going to be doing panning unless I find it helps the mix. So as you can see, there is a lot of stuff going on here. Look, this is not right. So we need to change this to mono as well. But now that we have them labeled, let me shrink this up. Now that we have them all labeled, what I'll go ahead and do is to change the actual names of the audio to match. So what we'll do is here. So I do Shift Option N. Shift Option N to change the names. Just go down the list. Oh, you know what? These are not labeled. So let's go in here and identify these and name them. So this is part of the verse. So this is going to be a lead.
Sell the 7 C's.
That's an ad lib. So again, this is an ad lib too. Lee ad lib. And that's centered. I just leave that so I know what I'm doing when I'm mixing. This is a lead ad. C, center. And then we have, this is that has reverb on it, I'm pretty sure. So
Youngers, the sisters and brothers still came a nationwide hustler.
oh, let's hear it.
Nationwide hustler.
So we can hear that has a reverb on it. So we're going to do lead, add, verb. So that way I know to leave it stereo. So now that everything is labeled at this point, I can go ahead and delete tracks that I'm not using. Let's keep. All right, so now that we have got them all labeled, let's make sure to change these. Cancel. Let's make sure we go ahead and change the audio. Let's make sure we change the audio name to match the track name. So it looks like I've got a couple more. All right, so you see the names match. So now we just need to identify and change things to mono. So the kick, the bass, this will leave stereo. So what I do is change my view so I can change it to mono or stereo. The kick we know is going to be mono. That's correct. Bass will be mono as well. The pad will be stereo. Bell stereo. Drama hit, we can have stereo. TV sample, we can actually have that mono. The hook, mono. All these vocals should be mono except the ones that have the reverb. That will be stereo with the reverb. Again, stereo on a reverb. And we're done. All right, so now what we got to go do. All right, so now what we need to do is to process these to make them actual mono channels. Mono, you'll just see one. These are two channels, 1 and 2. It needs to be mono. So what we do is Control B to bring up this. And what we're going to do is have it set to go to a new track. And the source we're going to leave. So it's going to create another track. I'll show you what to do to manage that. And it's going to rename it so that way we can not get confused. Bypass the effects plugins. And that should be it. Don't normalize, make sure that's off. And then process. Now you can see all the work involved in this. This is one of the reasons we charge what we do to do this. It is quite an involved process. Now it's certainly helpful if you're able to do this, but most people, they can't figure this out. This is it's kind of what I get paid to do. But I haven't even begun mixing yet, so this is just one part of the process. You can see it is now a mono channel. You want your kicks to be mono. Same thing with the bass, unless you've got a special effect on it, and it does have a stereo effect. But the basses, we've gone through and listened to each thing. This one in particular will be mono. So let's go through and process all these. Now you can see our settings stayed the same, so we don't need to change the settings every time. Anytime you change the settings, it remembers, so it makes it much easier. But having said that, you do need to check your settings if you're doing something else that requires a different operation to happen. Now we're like halfway there. Actually less than half, because most of these are going to be processed. I've got two more that are stereo. So the rest of these, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 more to process. All right, that's it. The last one is stereo, so we don't need to touch it. Okay, so now let's go ahead and shrink these up. You can see that when we did that process, it put the BIP at the end of it. That means bounce in place. So what I do is I'll click Apple, and we want to keep the one labeled BIP. So we're going to get rid of the other ones and skip the ones that have BIP. We can leave these are stereo, TV sample. And this is kind of where things can get crazy. If you don't know what you're doing, you can really mess up a pre-production and a mix. Verb, so we don't touch that. Again, leave that. And that should be good. Just double check we're not deleting anything we don't need to. We're not actually deleting it. We're going to hide them, disable and hide them. We disable them so that they don't play accidentally. Just double checking here. And we're good. So now we Control M to mute these, and then Control H to hide. And this cleaned up everything. So now it's ready to get into production. All right. So now that we've got everything set up and labeled, we can start looking at the mix. And really get into it here. So, I want to add a gain plugin on every single track that we do. So this is what we actually have to work with. So if we select every track and then use the utility gain, and we selected mono, but for the stereo tracks, it'll automatically set those up to stereo. All right, so on a vocal track, I've set up a vocal track in my template so that I have all the plugins that I need set up here. There's other ways to do this, but this is the way that I prefer to do it. So you can see that we have the gain, gate, vocal rider plugin that helps adjust the level. We have a Pro Q3, a compressor, de-esser, and then black box for some saturation. This goes for the vocals. Now on instrument track, I like to use the SSL plugin. That's one of the plugins we use. A little bit of saturation for the black box. And if we need some additional EQing, I'll use the Pro Q3. And lastly, for some limiting, if need be, we'll use, I'm not sure why it's not loading. Okay, yeah, we'll use this. So let's get rid of that. And so now we're setting up for the actual mix. So what we'll go in here and do is to set up the instrument tracks. This is the instrumental. All the instrumentals typically will have a lot more things going on, but this one here is fairly simple. So we'll just set it up this way. Putting our SSL right after the gain. We can do our EQing and compression in there. A little saturation. A little more EQ if need be. And just a quick reminder, you should be saving. I've got mine set to autosave. So obviously, after doing all this work, if you didn't save it, you're kind of screwed. But let's go ahead and set this up with a name. And let's go to the proper folder. I'm using an external drive for this. So going to my client that this is actually for, sessions. And we're actually going to call this, because this is just a setup for this. So we're going to call it what it is. So this song is Big Business. All right, and same thing. I like to put it in a folder in case I have any additional assets. All right, so now it's just processing it, putting everything in its proper place. And I've got my settings set up so everything is self-contained. A lot of the times with different DAWs and even Logics, I believe you can set it to where it's saving it a different way, so it's not all just within a self-contained project, which can be problematic. So I like to save everything self-contained. It does make files big, because it actually contains everything that the file has. But it's a lot safer. But the downside to that is if the file gets corrupted for some reason, you're kind of screwed. So that's why you save backups. I save a backup on an external, and then I also have a cloud drive set up. So I've got it locally and on the cloud. So, I mean, look at this. This is a Mac M1. So it's got an M1 processor. So this is a lot faster than it used to be back in the day. This right here, with what we're doing, probably take you 45 minutes more, really. Probably about an hour and a half. So factor that in. Setup, you're really looking at, I know I said earlier, setup could take about an hour, but not really. When you're doing a proper session like this, you're looking at, closer in the range of about 2 hours. So, all right, let's close these. And here we go. So now let's set up our limiter. All right, so that's the TV and whatnot. We don't really need processing on that. Even this drama hit, we probably don't need it, but the vocals here's another thing we can do. We can start coloring tracks so it stands out better, so we get some separation and can really see what we're doing. So go in here, assign track color. So for the instruments, it's just arbitrary, but we just want it to stand out. So that's kind of bright, so let's just tone it down a bit. All right, so that's the instrumental. Now, the lead vocals, here. Actually, this is the hook. The hook happens first, so I'll leave it right after the instrumental. I like to kind of have it in the order that the song goes. So you see this is first, that's second, and it's already kind of set up in place. So let's color the hook a little differently. And then the lead vocals, I'm shift clicking to select all of them. Let's do yellow, and then the outro, just leave it. All right, so now we can really see what we're doing. Next thing I like to do is to select it, right click, and you can create a track stack. It's a summing stack. It's basically, it's bussing everything down to one track. Here, I'll do it all caps. That way it's apparent it's a sum. So that's why I keep everything lowercase here, because it's kind of the order of, it's the hierarchy. So there's the beat. I can go ahead and compress that, and it makes it a lot easier to kind of work and focus on an area. The hook, same thing. Right click, create a track stack, boom, and name it. Lead vocals, right click, and outro. Boom. These are just, I'm not even going to explain that because it's not part of this, but I am going to hide them. Control H, get them out the way. They're still there. If you click H, you're going to see everything that we had hidden. So there you have it. Again, if I open that, you're going to see all the ones that I processed. The ones that are H are the ones that I had processed down to mono tracks. So let's hide them again. And now from here, what we would do is start with the beat. I'll go ahead and mute everything else and then just start working on the beat. So I can have a split screen here. Let's get rid of that and start working on the kick. So let's play the kick. Here, let me change some settings here. Actually, let's do this. This should be all right. Nope. Let me change some settings here. All right, so this one is actually kick and snare. Generally, I like to have just the kick on one track and the snare on the other. And for one of the songs, I actually went in and manually cut them and placed them on a different tracks, which is really crazy when it's the track is doing something else. But like with most of these songs, it's just been looping the whole way through, and it has been not as bad. So this one, I'm not going to get into that for this tutorial, but having said that, that's just something else to consider when you're either sending tracks or when you're having to work on them. So for instance, one other thing. Let's do this. We didn't even do this. So the client sent the track and the tempo was not notated with the track. So as you can see, it's not on a grid currently. So if we have to get into chopping, that would become an issue. So what we do is, listen here, you'll see. It's doing this because I have OBS running at the same time. It's really just a major load on the computer. Let's see if there's anything else I can close. Just have to deal with it. Here, let's disable all these plugins for now. Okay, there we go. So you can hear the metronome is not matching the beat at all. So in order to remedy that, I control click or right click, depending how you have it set up. I've got mine set up all kind of crazy with shortcuts. But when you don't set it up, you just right click and you will get this screen. And then you go down to tempo. You want to apply region tempo to project tempo. That's telling it to match the tempo of the session to the beat. So it's going to process it and then figure it out. Now let's uncheck this because it's going to start moving stuff around. So apply. And that's just going to change the session after it processes it. Interesting. It's not wanting to do it for whatever reason. All right, well, might because I've got so many things going on, it always does it. So in order to work around that, what we're going to do here, let's just mess with it. There we go, getting close. You can actually see this bit here getting closer to the grid. So let's actually start it off at the 1. And yeah, use that as your guide so you can see the grid start to line up as you mess with the tempo. There we go. It looks like it's 90. Yep, it's matching. I learned something new today. If something doesn't work, you find a way. So you can see now, if I need to chop things up, it's going to make it so much easier. And having said that, I like to have this setting here. This is a snap, set to on, and then I have it snap to absolute value. That way, when you're going around chopping stuff up, you can see it snaps. Okay, so back to where we were. So I want to go through here and listen to, turn off the metronome. And first of all, the panning for the kick is going to be straight up. So that's good. So for now, the kick is good. We're not going to do any adjusting and processing yet. We want to get things kind of set up properly. So we'll go to the bass. Okay, so one other thing is I like to use a meter. You can, if you don't have the meter, you can just use the meter if in Logic, but it's not as accurate for certain sounds. It will show, it's only so responsive. So something like this is very good. It does cost, though it's not free. So I like to use the VU meter, Classic. So when I'm mixing, I like to mix it -12. If I have any, I like to start with the kick and bass. I start at -12 because if you start mixing too hot, you start distorting, and then when you get into mixing, adding plugins on, it's just, you need to leave room for mastering. So there's the kick, and look, it's actually hitting quite nicely. Oh, not really, because I need to have things at unity gain 0 before I start mixing, and I'll show you why. See, it's way too loud. So the reason I put this gain plugin on here is to address that. And hopefully the system's not going to crash when I start adding plugins, but let's see. So we adjust the gain. That's about where we want to be. So you see the difference? So now when I get it in the ballpark there, I want to have it consistently hitting not above -12. So now I can take a look at the bass. I like to solo them. Same thing. There, good level. So now I'm just going to go through each track and do that. That track is fine, so I'm actually going to leave the gain plugin off for now. Doesn't need it. Let's just go to the bell. Bell is fine. Drama hit. Drama hit. So actually it can be turned up a little bit. There we go. It's down a tiny bit. All right, good. One more thing. See, it's not happening there. Let's fast forward.
I'd like to begin with a fact.
Super loud. So I'd like to start with the gain.
I'd like to begin with a fact. I'd like to begin.
All right, that's good. So now we got a good relative level. So now if we want to start adjusting things, we can use the faders. You don't want to just use the fader straight off. So got that processed. The instrumental is pretty much ready. Good to go. So now what we do is get that out of the way, mute it, and then start with the hook. Open her up. And no place, and we start at the beginning. Again, soloing each track.
Big business. Big business.
Way loud. You can see it's even peaking.
Big business. Big business.
There we go. Next track. Here, actually, let's do this.
Big business.
Work our way down.
Big business. Big business.
Now I could probably just copy this plugin over. This is the hook, right? Yep. So this is the one from the previous channel. Let's just copy that one. It should get us in the ballpark at least.
Big business.
Yep.
Big.
Actually turn up just a little bit more.
Big business. Big business.
There we go. Okay, next track.
Big business. Big. Big business. Big. Big. Big business. 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 Big.
All right, so that's the hook. One more thing. So now we're dealing with vocals, and we've got stacks. So, for instance, this one here, we've got two of each. So we've got the male, big business, and the female. So what we're going to need to do is pan these left and right. Oh, what I meant to do. It's going to be -7 plus 7. -9. 9. So now we go to going left and right. Should be a good overall volume. Let's see.
Big business. Big. Big.
Okay, good. Now that's before processing.
Big business.
Now you see the levels? See how they jumped even though we adjusted them all adding them all together
Big business.
makes them much louder. So that's where we get into mixing and adding processing to tame that and to bring it back into the ballpark. Because we'll want to be about -9. -9 is the sweet spot to be able to do the master. So that's something to consider. That's why this is a very important process. So now that we're done with the pre-production of the hook, let's go to the lead. And we'll do the same. Now I'm going to stop here because you get the idea at this point. It's going to be the same thing for the vocals. I'll probably do another one of these. If you're interested, leave a comment and I'll go deeper into the process, the actual adding plugins on and then starting doing the mix and utilizing some of these plugins, because like on the vocals, I love this Pro Q3 is a great plugin to do vocals. So for instance, just a quick kind of primer. Here, let's actually do it on the hook. Let's go back to the hook.
Big business.
All right, now this is the vocal plugin chain that I like to use currently. We have the gain, you can see, the gate, vocal rider, an EQ, compressor, de-esser, and some saturation. So what I'll just simply do is I've already got the gain on there. So we're just simply going to drag, drop. And again, there's other ways to do this. And typically when I copy it over, it's going to end up being quicker than some other methods. So you can see we have the EQ. Always likes to create an instance. Compressor. De-esser. And saturation. And you can see it starts adding up. You're going to have these on every track basically. So let's start off with the hook.
Big business.
Now this one already sounds pretty heavily processed. So what I might do is just take a listen to it actually. Let's disable these for now. EQ I always will keep on there. Let's disable these. And check out the gate.
Big business.
As you can see, previous to the gate, you can hear the air in between.
Big business. Big, 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 big. Big, big, big.
You can hear I'm kind of getting ready and taking breaths, even hear some of the music in the headphones. So let's turn the gate on. And this is just the default setting for now.
Big business. Big, 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 big.
And it is closing, but it's not as sensitive as we'd like it. So we're going to play around with the settings, change the look ahead so the plugin's looking a bit ahead, and change the threshold.
Big business. Big, big, big. Big, 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 big business.
And we'll play around with some of the settings. The thresholds and the look ahead are the ones typically I'll mess with first.
Big business. Big, 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 big. Big, 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 big business.
A lot of times, depending on how the track is, sometimes you actually manually going in and cutting them is the best way. But having said that, that's why you check out the gate first to see what's happening and if you can use the gate.
Big business. Big, 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 big. Big, 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 big.
All right, so on this one, it seems the gate will do. And we'll want to go through and do all these. So instead of me going through all these, I'm going to do one track and you'll get the idea. So, all right, so now we have that set up. I want to go to the vocal rider.
Big business. Big.
I'm not sure why the interface is not coming up. I think it's something to do with the processing right now. All right, so let's skip over that. Basically what that does is it rides the fader. It's like a compressor, but it isn't, in that it levels out the vocals. So as you can imagine, the vocals are going up and down depending on the delivery. And what the vocal rider does is it rides the fader. Like in the past, you would actually physically do it on there and kind of listen to it and remember where it goes up and down and then grab the fader up and down accordingly. This automates that process. Then we have the EQ. And generally with every single vocal, you'll want to add that. And I actually have a high pass in here. So you want to add your high pass filter that gets rid of the low end frequencies. You'll see it. Let's see.
Big business. Big, 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 big. Big, big.
So you can see them down in here. You're not going to want those. You're going to want to cut off, in the neighborhood around 160, 180. And you can see here, that tells you where you are. So, somewhere around here, let's see.
Big business.
Well, let's solo it.
Big business.
Before.
Big business. Big, big, big.
Now, he's kind of a big guy and he has a big voice, so we don't want to cut all of it out and make it sound too nasally. So let's play with it.
Big business. Big, 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 big.
Oh, let's enable it.
Big business. Big, 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 big. Big, 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 big.
All right, so I think I'm going to mess around in there with it. Okay, so now we have let's just turn the vocal writer off for now. All right, so we've got that. And then we could add, some compression on here.
Big business. Big, 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 big. Big, 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 big. Big, 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 big. Big, big, big business. Big business. Big, 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 big. Big, 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 big. Big, big, big business.
And you can see it smooths it out. So here's before.
Big business. Big.
And then we turned it down.
Big business. Big, 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 big.
With the gate.
Big business. Big, 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 big.
With EQ.
Big business. Big, 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 big.
The compressor.
Big business. Big, 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 big.
And we can add a de-esser in there to take some of that out. Start with usually like wide.
Big business. Big, 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 big. Big, 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 big business. Big business. Big, 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 big. Big, big business. Big business.
All right, so you get the idea. I think I'm going to stop there and leave it as is. You could see how far we've come. We came from to where we had the client send us a session of stems. They were not even labeled, so we had to go in there, import them into our session. Import them into our session, and then we needed to label them, change them to either mono or keep them as stereo, identify them, label them, then actually rename these to match. Then we started applying different settings. We needed to match the tempo of the session, and a bunch of other things that I'm not recalling at this point. So there you have it. That's why you would set up a session to get started your mixing. Now we're ready to start mixing, essentially. And don't forget to save. So like and subscribe if you like this video and you have a request you want me to go deeper, take a deeper dive into actual mixing. Let me know. Leave a comment below what you thought. And thank you.